Hey, Eric, thanks so much for making time today.
My pleasure, David. Glad to be here.
Like you had a choice. Hey, so I want to ask you some questions about the origin of Treble and how you network and all that, right? So, when you first had this idea for a business networking platform, where did that come from?
So it's a great question, David. It actually came from my experience working at the firm, and from some things that the firm had asked me to do. Probably about 10 years ago, the firm had asked me to look into how we could better use social media to develop business as a law firm. And one of the first things I did was I had a bunch of consultants come in who told us what I pretty much already knew instinctively. And that was that we should probably, as a firm, have more of our lawyers active and engaged in LinkedIn. They told us about a number of other different social media type products that were out there, but that was really the focus. So soon after that occurred, we got about 100 of our lawyers signed up on LinkedIn. We had them trained. We had them learn how to use the platform, learn how to build out their connections and how to use it. And after about 6 months, a pretty interesting thing happened was that people started coming to me and saying, look, we get that LinkedIn has some value. We get that there's some value in keeping connected with people and finding people you may have lost, and that it has some real applications, particularly in the employment space. But we just don't see how it's really going to ever generate significant revenues, how we're going to get big deals and big litigation and get selected for that from being active on LinkedIn. It's much more of a marketing type platform than it is really a sales platform, which is what we were looking for. And so it really got me thinking about what is it that I do and how is it that I generate business as a business developer for the law firm. And I started thinking about how what I do and how I engage with people in my network is that I'm always looking to help other people. I'm always trying to see how I can be helpful to people, whether it's finding them a job, trying to find their kid an internship, whether it's trying to find them or introduce them to people who might be helpful in their business, or whether it's ultimately referring them work, which of course is a great way that people are helpful to each other, is referring work back and forth to each other. It might be an accountant, might be an insurance broker, might be an investment banker, all these different complementary disciplines that I built a network of other trusted advisors around and was always trying to be helpful to. And what happens at the end of the day is that by being helpful to those people in your network, they of course think about you positively. You build goodwill in that network. And when they might have an opportunity that would be beneficial to you, they think of you and they might refer something back to you or make an introduction to somebody that will be helpful to you in your business. And I started thinking about, gee, wouldn't it be great if there was a way to track these introductions and referrals? And I had some conversations with other people, many of whom were in a similar position and who tracked introductions and referrals on an Excel spreadsheet. They kept lists of people who referred them business and they referred business to, and what the net plus and minus was on an Excel spreadsheet, often among entire companies. This company sent us this many referrals and we sent them this many. And I thought how inefficient that was. And there really ought to be a way to be able to track these introductions and referrals in real time and among companies, company to company, and among individuals, individual to individual. And that was really the genesis of Treble. We set out to create a platform that would track these introductions and referrals in real time would make it as easy as possible for you to make them while you're sitting having coffee with someone or having a drink with someone. So you didn't have to think about it when you went back to the office. You could make that introduction right there on the fly using pre-templated emails and making it as seamless and as simple as possible. And the system would track all of those transactions in the background. And then the system would provide you with real actionable intelligence that would allow you to get value out of it, see where your business generation was coming from, see who you needed to reciprocate with, and who you could be helpful to in the future when you had an opportunity, and in a way when you owed somebody back. There was a passage in Tom Wolfe's book, Bonfire of the Vanities, that I was reminded of, in which he talks about the system created between and among the prosecutors and public defenders and judges and cops in New York City that he called the favor bank, where they always traded favors and kept track of favors. And so in a way, the tracking and reporting of this, in my mind, reminded me of that favor bank passage in Tom Wolfe's book, Bonfire of the Vanities.
All right. Prior to Treble, how did you manage all this stuff? Just in your head, spreadsheets, what was your system?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't use any particular system to really track it other than having, I think, in the back of my head, some instinctive idea that, I knew somebody had sent me a piece of business one day long ago, and I probably should try and send something back. I was not really good at the scorekeeping aspect, as Adam Grant might refer to it, of the tracking the pluses and minuses of it. And I would often look at where my business came from and not be able to remember who sent me a particular piece of business. And that was something that bothered me. And I thought that having a system like this that enabled me to better track those things. And so if I did have an opportunity to refer a piece of investment banking work or an accounting job or an insurance matter to somebody, being able to look at those records, those statistics, and see who, by example, what insurance broker had referred me the most business and who had been the most helpful to me, that would give me a better idea of where I should try and send that business and how best I should reciprocate.
Now, how about, so it sounds like you're a natural networker. How about for people who networking does not come naturally? What is it that you're hoping to accomplish with the Treble app for those people?
Well, I am a natural networker. I don't know exactly why. I guess on some level, I'm a little bit of a more extroverted personality. On another level, I'm the son of a politician. So I grew up at the knee of my father, always, attending political functions and learning how to schmooze and how to work a crowd. And so I guess I do come by it somewhat naturally. But for those people who don't, I think, one of the things that we hope to teach people through the platform is that you really need to give in order to get. That networking is as much, if not more, about helping other people than it is about expecting some immediate instant gratification in return. In fact, I mentioned Adam Grant earlier. He wrote a book that talks about the fact that, if you look at the business world, the book is called Give and Take. If you look at the business world, he talks about how 10% of the business world is givers, 10% is takers, and the other 80% are scorekeepers, but that the most successful people in the business world are the givers. And what we're trying to do is encourage people and teach them to be the givers and to understand that if you are more of a giver, if you start from the perspective of trying to help other people, in the long run, that will make you more successful. You will not know or expect where the referral or the opportunity will come from. And often in my career, it's come from the most unexpected sideways direction that I never could have anticipated. But it often came, and if you tracked it, it came because you helped somebody who then helped you. And so I think Grant's point is that by putting this goodwill out into the world and helping other people, it will somehow rebound to your benefit. You just can't always know how, and you can't always expect it to come in a straight one-for-one linear direction. It often comes in unexpected ways.
Nice. So if somebody were trying to up their game on a business development or sales approach, and they realized, hey, I need to improve my networking, what are the core tenets? What are the things that you think are the most valuable? I think you mentioned, just put it out there, give to others, don't expect, anything in return. Are there other specific things that you can mention to people that you have found to be successful for you?
Well, I would say a couple things. One, I would say one thing not to do is I often encounter people who only seem to network when they want something. That is to say, they only tend to show up at networking functions or events when they're looking for a job and they're out of work. They don't network when they actually are in a position to do something or to help other people. And those people are people that I tend not to want to be helpful to. And I think others feel the same way. They're what I would consider among the takers. I think networking is something you have to be doing all the time, for your entire career. You have to be active in networking organizations, and you have to be active in a number of them. They often interweave and cross-pollinate with each other, and that's a good thing. But you can't just be active in one. I think some of our statistical data shows that the average, really good networker is involved in something like 8.6 different networking organizations at any one given time. You really have to be active in a number of different groups, because each of those different groups will expose you to a completely, different, if you think about a Venn diagram, a completely different circle of people. Some may overlap, but many will not. I also think that, when you do get involved in organizations, don't be on a board or sit on a board just to sit and expect to vote on things or pass judgment. The way to really get noticed in any organization is to take an active role, to try and get engaged in leadership, to take on a project that gets you noticed among the organization. I've always made it a point, if I'm going to be engaged in an organization, if I'm going to be on a board, to do something active and do a project. And it really is remarkable. In most volunteer organizations, so few people are actually willing to put in and invest time to further the cause of the organization, that it really makes you stand out very quickly. If you volunteer for a project and you say you're going to take on something and do a particular thing, and you actually get it done, it really gets you noticed among the group, and it can often and very quickly lead to you getting singled out for leadership roles, and ultimately to becoming the president of whatever that organization is. And there really is no better visibility within that organization than to have served some time in leadership or to become the president of that organization. And so I would say, if you're going to join an organization and you're going to be in it to be the president and stand out and be noticed. And I think that, that gets you the most out of the time that you're going to invest in whatever that organization is. Just being a board member that doesn't do anything is not as efficient a use of time as really engaging and trying to rise to the top and accomplish something.
All right. So if you're there, be there 100%, commit,
Be all in.
be all in, impact.
Right. Do pick fewer organizations and be all in.
Got it. So depth rather than breadth.
Absolutely.
Cool. So for people who want to get started with Treble, hopefully you've inspired a lot of people, and, what would you suggest they do? Right? Download the app. What do they do in order to, try to emulate your success?
I would say first and foremost, they should connect with you. As soon as they join Treble. You're among the best networkers I know. You're among the best networkers on Treble for sure. You will be in a position to introduce them to other people. I would say connect to me. I'd be happy to be connected to anybody on Treble and to make introductions for them to other people. So those are definitely two things you should do right away. Check out the organizations that are active on Treble. That's one of our, real opportunities that exist. Some of them may be membership organizations that you might need to join, but if they're active on Treble, they're probably worth considering. Certainly, if they're in your geographical region, you may want to be active in them both virtually on Treble and in real life. Attending their meetings, and they will connect you to another wide variety of people who are and should be helpful in the networking world. Again, try to help other people. One of the great features that we have on Treble is our wish engine, which was your brainchild, David, and I give you all the credit for it. It was a brilliant idea. In a lot of ways, it's like a bridal registry for business. And it gives you, the user, an opportunity to help other people. It gives you an easy way to jump into networking and start with the idea that I first, espoused at the beginning of this presentation, which is that you really need to be in it to help other people, because you can go on to the wish engine and you can see what people need help with, and you can see where people have wishes that they need fulfilled and where you might be able to help them. And by doing that, by actively trying to fulfill other people's wishes and succeeding in that, you'll be generating exactly the goodwill that I was talking about into your network. You'll be creating opportunities for yourself to connect with those people and for them to want to help you and to give something back to you, and potentially to refer business back to you or make introductions for you that could be helpful in your business life.
Awesome. Eric, thank you so much for spending the time and sharing both your wisdom, your insights, and your passion for this. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, David. Happy to do it.